So this is kind of insane, kind of surreal that I'm finally doing this. So many of you guys have been requesting that I talk about this series. I'm talking Kevin, Astin, Francisco, all of you. So thank you guys so very much for asking me to do this. Here we go. Let's get right into it with Fellowship of the Ring. So Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, of course, was directed by Peter Jackson, and it stars a shitload of people. Elijah Wood, Sean Astin, Ian McKellen, Viggo Mortenson, Liv Tyler, Sean Bean, just to name a few. And as I'm sure most of you know, in this realm, the future of civilization rests in the fate of the One Ring, which has been lost for centuries. And powerful forces are relentless in searching for it. And when someone comes across it, they tend to get enamored with it, like there's nothing else that matters in the world. It is just this one ring that is all power consuming. But as fate would have it, it's placed in the hands of a young hobbit named Frodo Baggins, who's played by Elijah Wood, who inherits the ring from his uncle Bilbo, and he steps into literal legend. But when he becomes the ring bearer to destroy the One Ring in the fires of Mount Doom where it was forged into the mouth of Sauron, it's a daunting task that lies ahead, and he's joined by a great group of characters known as the Fellowship, which is led by a great character, Sir Ian McKellen playing the wizard Gandalf. This character is so cool. He's like the Obi-Wan Kenobi of this series. The wisest wizard in the world. Yeah, you can imagine this coming out in 2001 and him getting compared a lot to Richard Harris as Albus Dumbledore. Which brings me to one of my big things, probably one of the more controversial things that I'm going to be mentioning here. I'm not someone who really grew up with Lord of the Rings like a lot of people did. I wasn't really introduced to Lord of the Rings until my teenage years. My cousins were like, Zach, oh my god, how come you're not watching Lord of the Rings? Well, Ryan and Rhett, your love for these movies has really opened up my eyes. Lord of the Rings, the big thing about this series is the scope. Just look at any of these movies and look at this atmosphere. It is beautiful and it is big. I mean, big. The production design alone just makes you feel like you are entranced into this world and you are fully immersed in it. And of course, some brilliant music by Howard Shore only adds to the epicness of this world. Now granted, this isn't really a universe that I revisit a ton because these movies are gigantically long and there's only so much time in a day. But every time I go back to revisit it, and that's why I'm so thankful that you all requested this, and that's why it just feels so amazing to finally be talking about these, because it just really, like, Fellowship of the Ring especially, just makes you feel so welcome. Again, it's very similar to the Sorcerer's Stone in feel. This world is just so happy upon entering it. These hobbits are partying and it's Bilbo's birthday and everybody's just joyous and just raucous. It's such a pleasant looking movie, but then when finally hits the fan, once they finally go on their quest, once the Fellowship finally comes together, that's where the movie gets amazing. And that's where I feel like the strength of Lord of the Rings actually lies. It's the passion of everybody involved, whether it be on the technical side or whether it be in front of the camera. You could just feel that everybody involved was going to be like, hey, we're about to make something groundbreaking here. And damn it, that's what Fellowship of the Ring was. Let's talk about some of these actors. And I can't exactly get into all these names with this one video because I feel like it would just be half an hour long. But everybody is on top of their game. Ian McKellen, I already talked about, is very regal as Gandalf. He's very all-knowing, very wise. His poise in front of the camera is second to none. Elijah Wood as Frodo is a very good protagonist. Now, this is where the movie could have gotten really sappy, and this is honestly kind of the fine line that Elijah Wood was treading here. Because if he took it one step in the wrong direction in his performance, he could have made Frodo super annoying and super whiny. But this is where stellar direction from Peter Jackson comes into play. He has such impeccable trust with his actors. And Elijah Wood is magnificent in Fellowship of the Ring. This is just, it's a really interesting character study if you kind of look back on Fellowship of the Ring. And it brings me into one of my other biggest praises about Fellowship of the Ring, is its message. Yeah, Frodo really does not want to be in this situation. He was dealt a pretty shitty hand, but it's a really valuable life lesson for people of all ages that Gandalf is teaching him here. Yeah, sometimes life doesn't pan out the way we want it to, but it's what we do with the hand we're dealt that makes us who we are. And I think Frodo encapsulates that wonderfully, especially as you get towards the end of this film, which is understandably so very epic. Let's talk about Sean Astin, Mikey Walsh himself as Samwise Gamgee. He was so sweet in this movie. Frodo and Samwise was the first fantasy bromance. Bet you've never heard that sentence before. J.R.R. Tolkien creating the first fantasy bromance. He deserves a lot of credit. The fantastical moments are too many to count. Liv Tyler is fantastic in this movie. Sean Bean. One does not simply walk into Mordor. That opened up so many memes on the internet of one does not simply insert whatever it is here. And a mild spoiler alert, Sean Bean seems to be really good at dying in these fantasy pilot installments. He was slaughtered mercilessly in Fellowship of the Ring, just like he was slaughtered and decapitated 10 years later in the Game of Thrones first season. He seems to be really good at that for some reason. I don't know, man, but that all brings me to my personal favorite character in this whole trilogy, that being Aragorn, played by Viggo Mortenson, who is phenomenal in this movie. He is such a badass. He's so cool. This is a guy who is not messing around in swordplay. He's cutting apart, slicing, and dicing all these nasty monsters left and right. There's really not another word to describe Fellowship of the Ring other than freaking epic. It is 2 hours and 58 minutes of a fantasy film lover's dream come true. Peter Jackson with impeccable direction, a phenomenal musical score, some breathtaking cinematography in here. Yeah, you can nitpick this all you want. You can say that some of this CG doesn't really look up to snuff. It's 2001. Can you give these people a break? It all comes down to the storytelling and how it's presented and the passion that's being put into it. As far as those three things are concerned, they hit a freaking bullseye. Now, in case you're wondering, yes, I did watch the theatrical cut and not the extended cut. And you want to know why? I feel like the extended cuts, as cool as they are, I don't really feel like a lot of those scenes belong in certain elements of the movie. They just kind of feel out of place, you know? So for the purposes of this review, these are just gonna be for the theatrical cuts going forward. As it is, though, Fellowship of the Ring is an absolutely brilliant cinematic achievement. Peter Jackson, this is his crowning achievement right here, in addition to the other two entries in the main trilogy that we will be talking about very, very soon. But for right now, I'm gonna give Fellowship of the Ring an A+. Because honestly, what else did you expect this movie to get? And I know a lot of people binge watch all the Lord of the Rings movies every single year, like my buddy Francisco does. I'm sure my buddy Kevin does that as well. These are his favorite movies of all time. Thank you all so very much to everybody who requested me review these movies. Look out for my review of The Two Towers coming very, very soon. And I'll be reviewing all three Lord of the Rings movies in addition to this one, along with the Hobbit trilogy. This is all to build up to the Rings of Power series coming out on Amazon Prime. And of course, I'll be talking about all the new releases coming out in the month of July, like Thor: Love and Thunder. Nope. Lots of exciting topics that we can discuss over here, folks. So if you guys love all things movies and TV, do consider smashing that subscribe button, hit that notification bell right next to it so you don't miss a second of the action, and feel free to hit that thumbs up on your way out if you enjoyed what you saw today as well. Guys, y'all are the best. I'm so excited to continue talking about Lord of the Rings over here. With all that being said, back talk commence!